That'll do that in the corner. Meeting is live streamed. Always love being able to click. I get the option going live streaming to leave the meeting every time. Love it. Absolutely love it every single time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, people that are going to come on live with us very, very shortly. This is the MCC Virtual Business Box Lunch. I am your host, and today a 1% business needs a 1% attitude. Why? Because if you don't put yourself in rare company, you can't do rare things. And right now, as other people come and join us, this is rare company. The four of us probably could solve every single business problem imaginable. That's frightening and badass at the same time. So I am your host, Mitch Cabbage. Normally, I am the savage in business. I am joined, as always, pretty much every damn week with my brothers from other mothers. Now, Don and I are brothers for an entirely different reason than Matt and I are brothers, and Paul and I are brothers for an entirely other different reason. You know, we're all members of the same cult, different cults, stuff like that. It's fun. It's great. It's wonderful. But while I do a little bit of button pushing and other people come and join us, I'll flip it over to them to introduce themselves. And then we'll do our thing, which we do every week, which is talk about the week that was in business, provide advice, suggestions, and occasionally arguing about things, because not everybody can agree about everything at all times. And that's how we learn to get better at it. We're going to take what's in here, give it to you, so you can get better at running a business. With that, Matt, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and I'm going to go do a little bit of button pushing.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mitch. Matt Hewson, everybody, working closely with Mitch, Paul at the MCC group. Looking forward to, again, making things a whole lot simpler by creating some hard questions that you as a business owner get to answer, but we'll do it together. And it's creating that, broker of certainty philosophy that we share with you every single week in these still uncertain times. So I look forward to kind of sharing today. Can't wait to hear some of the questions for sure. Paul?
Yeah, it's always a surprise on Friday with the Business Box Lunch. We never know what's going to get thrown at us. I'm Paul Wachowski. I'm also a part of the MCC group, business coaching. And yeah, just looking forward to, providing information and little tips, tricks through our conversations from ourselves and everyone that's here. So hopefully you tune in and enjoy.
Yeah, Don Verboom, 4Tree Coaching. I help small, mid-sized businesses get the businesses they dream of. So I keep them accountable, keep them going, give them some training, help them, like to say, have that certainty in their business that it's going to turn out. So glad to be here.
I'm still button pushing. Come on.
Shannon, go next. Shannon, go next.
Sorry about that. I'm late, so I don't know what's going on. I'm Shannon Berry. I operate with a partner, my Mad Women VA virtual assistant services. So I help people scale their businesses in digestible bits for themselves and for their budgets.
Yulia.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm in ghost mode right now. But I'm Yulia Krukshenk with Epic Experiences. We online marketplace that offers unique experience gift packages and adventure tours across Canada. And we all about deliver epic memories to people.
Outstanding. And Danny and
Danny's
Sarah coming
just
to join
joined
us always.
Hi.
Introduce
We're going
yourself.
through introductions. So guess what?
Tell
You
us.
don't get any time to prepare. Who are you, Danielle?
Well, I'm Danielle Piwan. I own DSOS Bookkeeping and Accounting. We do everything from personal taxes, incorporation, bookkeeping, and general accounting. We serve customers Canada-wide, and because I had no time to prepare, neither does he. This is my hubby. You go.
What's going on?
Who are you?
I'm Scott Reese. I'm part of Legacy Renewable Energies and Ecoleaf Corporation, and we're into renewable energies. Hi.
How's it going?
I love it. I'm going to take the reins if that's all right, because I see Mitch still staring off into space, which means that he's still button pushing.
Yeah.
Friday, I think it's the first Friday of February, which means that we're already well into the year. Can I pose the first question, Mitch? You're okay with that? If we get right into it?
Go.
I just got a sad email, and it's about Mr. Bob Proctor passing away.
Ooh.
So I don't know if you guys are part of the Proctor Gallagher program or not, but anyway, I want to ask everybody, who is their kind of go-to mentorship, whether or not it's virtual, whether or not it's hands-on, all these things. We hear about Tony Robbins, we hear about Proctor Gallagher, we hear about all of these kind of coaching programs. What's the one that you've kind of attached yourself to, and how has it helped you? Go.
That's a good question.
That's a loaded question.
It is.
What
Well,
happened if the majority of it is sitting on this call?
We can chat about that too.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. I don't do like the big coaching programs and that. To tell you the truth, Tony Robbins and the likes give me a headache. I don't like the emotional rah, get me to open up my pocketbook from the stage. It's like being drunk and not spending money. It just doesn't happen, right? So, but Mitch is my business coach, and he has done an extraordinary job with me, considering what he had to work with when I first came to him. Paul is always there too, and he helps support, and he's got great information about crypto and all that stuff, all the new investment opportunities. So yeah, I kind of, Syndicate is my place outside of peer groups and that in the marketing realms, with like people like Michael Stelzner and Neil Patel and those sorts of people. But that's more industry specific and a little less my actual business specific. Yeah.
Right. Dawn, how about you? I'm curious about this one. Who's kind of the mentor or the coach that you've kind of followed the path with?
Initially, I was a Zig Ziglar fan, and went to some of his seminars and stuff. I just loved his anecdotes and stories and just basic country folk kind of logic. It was awesome. And then I kind of moved into Dr. John Maxwell. I just finished reading 15 leadership essentials or something again. And he's got a good way of condensing other people's stuff into something that seems palatable and you understand it and so forth. And it always gets me centered. So I love reading Maxwell stuff.
Awesome. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna jump into the middle of this, of course, right? Mentorship has to come from more than one voice. So you can pick it up from a book, you can pick it up from a seminar, you can pick it up from a stage related presence, and no, you don't have to carve out your wallet to do those kinds of things. But it has to start from somewhere, because mentorship is about vulnerability. So I'm just going to talk about what mentorship is really quick, and then talk about my mentor, because he's been in my life for a long time, but there's more than one. I've got many of them to rely on. So I've got my proximate circle in mentorship. So people that I like, know, and trust around me that can help me do things. And then I got people that can teach me things, or that I feel or know empirically know more than I do. So for mentorship to be very effective, you have to be able to trust somebody else to be vulnerable with them. You got to be able to make mistakes in front of them, and I'll know that they're not going to hold that against you. And they've got to be able to educate you in a way that you start unconsciously incompetent and work all the way up to consciously competent. My prime mentor now is Dr. Keith Wagoner. Right? He's one of the top executive coaches in the world. We are business partners. We are friends. He is my coach, and he has been seminal in steering my business development as we go on. But somebody that I've had longer than Keith is my really close friend, Fran Dryden. And I've had him in my life for 20 years. Fran is an older gentleman. He's retired to Mexico with his lovely wife, Anastasia. He really helped me develop into a business person, right? My dad is obviously a mentor to me still, and I'm grateful to have him alive with me. He's somebody that got me to adulthood. Francis helped me transform into an appropriate male role model for my sons, and to turn me into a businessman, because he did business for years, and I watched the way he treated people, and that's the way I wanted to do it. And now with Keith, the kind of business I have, he helps keep me grounded, educated, and centered, but more importantly, to accelerate what I'm doing and to professionalize how I do it as well. So if I didn't have those, we're talking really practical terms, they've helped me in really practical ways, and they've made me feel better about those moments when I've had a shitty day, and they've helped me to figure out how to have a great day, and more importantly, to turn the volume up and magnify what's going on. So I've had more mentors than that, more educators in my life, but those are the ones that are always really, really essential to me. Fran is still in my relationship to this, still in my life, in a relationship of mine to this day. And we talk on a regular basis, and I talk to Keith multiple times a week to make sure I do what needs to happen. but he teaches me stuff I don't know how to do. He helps me with technical crap, and he calls me on my bullshit. And that is, essential. I love having that relationship.
Calling on the bullshit.
Can I ask a part B to that? And it actually speaks to what Mitch was just talking about. What part of their coaching or inspiration or mentorship keeps you accountable to yourself? Like, what are the tools that they've created that you now follow? Because I find that we're always in this student mode. And like this time of year still, people are like, New Year's resolution, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they're in this like, oh, I got to learn something new. Do you actually need to learn something new, or do you just need to apply the knowledge that you already have? But what are the tools or the tasks that they've put forward for you as that mentor that you actually utilize every day? Because I need more tools.
Yeah, sure. I think it has to do with accumulation over time. And sometimes you may not have everything come together and click at the same time, even though it could be sitting in front of you. It maybe takes a level of maturity to see that tool or that ability to even use it, right? And then going back to like mentorship though, I think my parents are a good place to start. As a human being, fundamentally, I use a lot of principles and guidance that they'd given me. And then going back, Mitch has been there for some very sensitive and painful moments in my life, and he's had my back. And it's more than just a coaching relationship; it's a friendship, right? And I got you and Paul, and you guys have always had my back. And I have two friends that I go to for lunch every month, and we talk to each other. And one's an engineer, and one's a reasonably successful businessman. And I look at them and I go, when I make choices as a person, what type of choice would they make? And, what type of choice would I make? And, maybe sometimes I'm out to lunch and I look upon their decision-making abilities to say, yeah, it's a good idea, or dude, you're so out to lunch on this one. And you use it as a way to gauge. And even syndicate as like a whole, like an entity. It's like a massive sounding board that you can always just go to. And somebody in the group has always been there and done that. And I know in the group, we like to use the efficiency of, why suffer through it when someone else can help guide you through it, right? So, as a facet in my life, like that mentorship is encompassing. And then I think about people that have been in my life and out of my life, or I've learned small things from here or there. Like I worked with a really old guy when I was 18 in the oil patch, and he, taught me a lot of stuff. I don't talk to him anymore. I think he passed away, but I remember the information that he gave me, not just about working, but about how to be a man and how to function in life, right? And back to my mom, she taught me to open doors for ladies and that type of stuff. And chivalry is important too. So I think that encompassing it's such a multitude of people and many facets. And of course, there's going to be the people that are close to you in your circle, and then there's going to be the the one-offs, like the manager I had at McDonald's when I was 17 that used to make me laugh. But I remember him, and I remember some of the anecdotal things he passed on to me too, right? And you compile that over life and you reflect and you go, where are the good choices and the bad choices made? And who was there with a hand out to help you when you were down, and who was there kicking you in the back when you were down, versus then vice versa, right? And when you're up, who's there keeping you in check rather than pushing you into places that you may not be, as strong as you think you are, right? So it's highly important.
Yeah, I love that. I love that part, because it's, one of the sayings is, if you want to soar with eagles, you can't hang around with pigeons. So, who's your network that you're hanging around? How are they pulling you up rather than pushing you down? And it really depends on the area that you're looking at. So your network of who you're hanging around with, is it a group weekly? Is it a group monthly? I used to do that with real estate, monthly, just to get recharged, because, the world can beat you down, especially when you're doing something that's outside of your existing network. Maybe your existing friends and family, are giving you the best advice that they have, but they're not truly experienced within that market. So having a network of experienced investors, experienced business owners, we talk about coaching, but it's also the reinforcement of network of who you're actually hanging around with. So it is about reading, it is about a mentor, it is about coaching, but it's, we all have common problems. And usually when you're in a group of like-minded people, you're like, oh my gosh, I had the same problem, right? Like, it's now you don't feel as stressed or feel alone as much. And, you can shorten the learning gap so quickly by having a fantastic network, a fantastic coach, a fantastic mentor, and, applying that knowledge in those books that you're reading. So it's that commonality of who you're really hanging around with, which goes to, one of the main sources for me is Napoleon Hill.
Mhm. Yeah, he's a great author.
And I find it funny that, Zig Ziglar, John C. Maxwell, even Mr. or Proctor and Gallagher, like none of these are new, right? Like Napoleon Hill, when was that book written? Right? Like 100 years ago.
Well, if we do that and it came up now, and so I'd like to pose another addendum to your question, Matt, for a moment. But Napoleon Hill, that was a gift from another friend of mine that we are in a proximate circle. So maybe we should do is just talk about who's got what, and not in the form of whose social circle or whose proximity circle is better. But listen, all of us are on this call because we're all members of Syndicate. Okay, let's call a spade for a moment. Every Friday, I announce the Mitch Kamich coaching virtual business box lunch, not the Syndicate box lunch. And it goes out to everybody else in the world in the form of social. And who do we see every week only on it? Syndicate members. Why? This is part of our circle, right? And there's 8 of us right now. And we've had as many as 10 or 11 or 12 people. So Syndicate even becomes part of the social business mentorship and proximity fabric for other people's lives. But who else do you have in there, right? A lot of people, you can only count on one hand the number of people in their proximate circle, literally. And if they got a business partner, so there's their business partner, there's a couple of their employees that maybe they trust to take care of some decisions, and one person maybe that they think they might know also in their industry that they can go talk to, and that's it. 3 or 4 or 5 people maximum. My proximate circle, but my mentorship circle, my proximate circle is 15 or 20 people deep, because I need different things from different people. I need help and support from different people for different things, right? I'd love to hear that take from somebody else too, because one of them is my good friend Corey Poirier, who is his own entity to himself. And to Paul's point, Napoleon Hill's book is a gift that he gives away to everybody because it was the first book he read that got him started down the path he's on right now. And he thinks that this is seminal work and reading. So what does he do? He gives it as a gift, not just because maybe you pay Corey, but if you're a friend, he's like, I'm sending this to you. Read this. It's important. It's going to make you smarter, right? And some of the people in this circle, I get advice on what I should read next from people. I provide it as well. I pass the savings on to others. So who's in your proximate circle, right? But if it's not deep enough, you got to go find it. And if you're going to go find it, where, right? So there's the addendum. If you don't have enough people in your circle, what's the right number? And then where do you find more? How do you add to it?
If I may, like real quick, my week has been super busy, flush full of work, very grateful for it, but not feeling myself. So I know that there's this core group of, people that I work with that I can say, I know that you're going to be my cheerleader. We need to go back and forth, right? And even Scott, like having that conversation you and I yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm re-energized. There's something that we can be passionate about, right? Mr. Greg Weir, I literally just had coffee with him and I was like, I'm on cloud 9. Like I could start my weekend right now. Can't, because I still have some client meetings, but that's very important to me because I've always said winners win. But if you're in that circle and in that proximity, it's much easier for you to regain the momentum that you need. So mine is quite small, I guess, from a circle of influence. But man, are they great cheerleaders, and I love them for it. So thank you to you all as well.
I was gonna say, if I might too, I definitely have to echo that. I'd say right now that where I'm at in the last 5-6 years has been what I'd consider the golden age of actual advice and knowledge and growth personally, because prior to this place in my life, I don't have family icons that I can look up to. I don't have a lot of friends I grew up with anymore, and for various reasons. And that's great, and you don't hold ill will against people. But for me, my safety mechanism is I'm a micro information hoarder. I love snippets, one-liners, paragraphs that stick with you versus like sometimes entire books. And I mean, I read a lot of books and I read a lot of articles, but it's like those one-liners and those things that somebody will say, like you'll sit in a syndicate meeting and you're looking for the 1 or 2 sentences that somebody says that just stick with you, you know. And the other weirdly unlikely place to get inspiration, and probably the one piece of inspiration that stuck with me the longest, has been from a movie. And it's a cheesy movie. It's called The Holiday. It's a girl movie, but there's a line in the movie where the main character is sitting and she's having dinner with this guy from old Hollywood, and he looks at her and he says, the worst thing, like the most tragic thing about what you're telling me is that you've lost sight of being able to be the leading lady in your own life. And that was weirdly one of those things that stuck with me longer than most things, because I think that's where, if you don't have like that direction or you have a small circle, sometimes you just kind of get absorbed being part of a whole, but you lose that individuality. And so what I look for is pieces that I can take from people that help me develop the individuality of who I am, but then finding all this stuff in groups. Like I when I met Scott, he said to me, he's like, I know you've been hurt in the past because you always say sorry for everything. He's like, you shouldn't be sorry for everything, but you say sorry all the time. 6 years later, I don't say sorry anymore. Not that I don't say sorry, but it's not my go-to. It's not that expecting to feel backlash. I feel like I've got strength from this, like especially this group right here. I mean, Mitch, I could say a million words. Paul, incredibly grateful. Matt, you are an inspiration watching you in your niche, because, you know, I don't know if you remember, but that coffee you and I had a million years ago at Starbucks was the first time I met you face to face. And I was like, I feel like we could probably talk for another 6 hours just based on like that, like 2% layer of getting to know each other. And Syndicate and places like this, it's given me the opportunity to get to know all of you guys, but it's those one-liners. It's when you guys leave those one-liners of I don't know, they're huge impact for me. So
you have to be careful, and you have to be able to identify good intentions versus maybe not the best intentions. And like, you know, for me, I had a hard time leaving my past behind, you know, and I was always trying to take the people with me where I was going, but it was holding me back. And, you know, decisions made this year and then changed my world a bit. And then now I find myself encompassed with a group of people that are all pushing in the same direction for the same reasons, with the same principles and ideas. And, you know, it feels really natural, where before, you know, trying to convince people to do good for themselves, or trying to convince people that there's something better out there, or trying to convince them that this idea that you have, that, you know, everybody will look for all the negatives usually with something, because maybe they don't want to see you succeed or whatever it is. But then you come to this group and you're like, you know, hey, this is an idea I have. And, you know, over the course of last, you know, 4 months, year with the other company, but like, you know, the growth of what that is because of the reinforcement that I've personally received from the group is, I don't think it's calculable, you know, like from where I was with my idea at the beginning to now, and looking at it going like, holy geez, you know, like this is something that I just never thought would come to fruition like that. You know, it was always an idea, but then you spend your time, you talk about it, then there's expectations, and you don't want to let people down because, you know, other people are putting their time into it. And, you know, in the end, we're looking at this now going like, wow, this is something to really be proud of. And it's not just me, it's the group. And even Syndicate, I come to the meetings every 2 weeks, and I use it as the sounding board for what I have. And everybody in the group, like, you know, I had a meeting with Don, you know, 2 weeks ago when he was leading the mastermind, and, you know, we brief conversation about what I'm doing and what's going on. And, you know, Don's ultra positive about it. And that's, you know, makes you feel super warm and fuzzy on the inside. And it makes you know when you're making those right choices. But if you don't know what those are, then it's so hard to find your way out, right? So it's important to surround yourself with people, but it's got to be the right people.
Yeah. Danny, to your point, I call it pearls of wisdom.
yes,
Looking for those little pearls of wisdom on that side.
yeah, it's true. Like you can read a 400-page book and one sentence sticks with you. Don't get me wrong. I've read books where all 400 pages are really powerful, but it's a lot of generality in really good resources. Like I write too, right? So like when you're writing, you're trying to reach the broadest amount of people, but then there's going to be specifics where what I specifically find in a book, like Napoleon Hill is an amazing author. And I actually got his book when we went to Corey Poirier's event, I don't know, probably 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was funny because in the crowd, I won the book. And I own a copy of crap, the name of the book is totally escaping me at the moment, but I won that book, and it was a good chance to reread it. And it's quite interesting that there's like 1 or 2 sentences in that entire book that, again, just stay with you. So whether it's Mitch dropping a line of wisdom in the introduction to a syndicate meeting or the wrap up to a syndicate meeting, whether it's listening to, whoever is sitting in a room, like there's always a pearl of wisdom to find. But I think it's cool that the pearl of wisdom that I take away, that Scott takes away, that Matt, that Don, that Paul, that Mitch, that Shannon, that Yulia, like whatever we take away, it's always a little bit different because everybody's situations are a little bit different. And you can share a mentor like Mitch, Matt, and Paul, like you guys are mentors to all of us here in this group. But what we all take away is a little bit different because while we're all in business, our individuality is there. And that's the coolest part about being part of a group, is that you can have a collective mentor, but each person takes something different from that individual person. So there's a generality, but there's a specific nature of what's being said. And sometimes in platforms like this, we get the chance to actually say, this was the specific that means something to me. But sometimes it's not about voicing it. Sometimes it's just about turning off the call at the end of the night and going, I'm going to sleep better tonight because somebody said something that just hit me. And you don't need to share it with anybody, and you don't need to say anything. You just take it away and you sleep better at night.
And we're passionate about this because it's really important to us. It's a fundamental in business. It's one of the most important things.
Don, who's in your proximate circle? I don't think I've ever asked you that question.
I'm other than this group, which is quickly becoming the group for me. I've been in syndicate a year and got in as a coach for the one tribe in Sherwood Park, and now a tribe Edmonton, and that getting so involved as a coach and trying to help others is so rewarding. And then it helps you reflect on what you're doing, what you're offering. So I would say in the last year, this has been my sort of cluster of advisors. And, Mitch and I meet every week anyway. I love our chats about what's going on in the coaching world. And it's so good to, connect with everybody at the different times. So that's my kind of group. But for me, it's going back reading a lot of times to get back to, read, like Matt was saying, stuff we already know, but we forgot. And I love just relearning that stuff. And it's somehow, in coaching, sometimes it says you got to be about 5 minutes ahead of your client in knowledge. So you have to go back and relearn something because he's tweaked something and you figure it out. Oh yeah, I should have remembered that. But my 2 lines I want to share them are, I think first was Zig Ziglar, and he says, if you need to help enough people in life get what they want in order to get what you, or you'll get what you want. I mumbled that one wrong. And the other one is servant leadership from Maxwell. That people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And those have just been 2 values about help others and be a servant leadership. I've just carried that all the way through in everything I do. And, it's amazing. Like Danielle says, there's those lines that just stuck, and they have stuck and they become part of my key values in everything. So it's amazing.
Outstanding. All right. Tribe, good to go. Paul, what's our next topic?
What would you say, I guess, within your own experience or with experience with other business owners that you've witnessed or coached or helped is the biggest factor that holding them back? And this is from your perspective. What is that one thing that if they just moved into action, they just did it, what is it? What are you finding?
Everybody's scared.
Right.
I just don't want to be the one talking all the time.
I'll be quick. Everyone is scared. They're either scared to pick up the phone, to make a call, or they're scared to pick up the phone to answer the call. And the most successful people out there picked it up early in their career to make the cold calls. And again, it drives me crazy that people are scared to make cold calls. And then when they became a success, they picked up the phone to answer the hard questions. That's all you got to do. And many people have this fight, flight, or freeze, and they go directly to the freeze nowadays. And I think that we've been conditioned a little bit, like no action is a safe action, because then it's not right or wrong. And that to me has been like the biggest takeaway, is that through the past 2 years, more specifically, the playing field has changed. So now they're scared to take the same shot because that shot now looks different, right? But my biggest success over the last, let's say, 12, 14 weeks with the people that I'm working with and coaching is I've now talked. I'm glad that you listened. What did you just hear? Right. And that kind of speaks to what Danielle just mentioned, is that each of us will have a different takeaway about the same topic or the same statement. But it's very important to me now. Okay, what did we just talk about? What did you just hear? How are you going to apply that now? Right. And that to me has been like the biggest thing, because people really, it's not fight, flight, it's fight, flight, freeze. And I think we're stuck in this freeze mode.
Actually, I'm gonna go right after Matt here, and hopefully this gets everybody else to start jumping in on this one too. You put it beautifully, brother. And I'm gonna follow up by saying one word: move. Right? When I'm gonna go back to the pandemic for a moment. Everybody's sick of COVID. We might be still in it. We might be out. It might be turning into an endemic. It might still be a pandemic. It might wipe out all of mankind. It might do this. It might do that. The money's done this. This is inflation. That I don't give a shit. Okay. By the way, I ticked the little box, so fuck that. Move immediately. Move often. And when you're not sure what to do, move. Pick a direction and go. If you don't go, you're screwed. You are 100% screwed empirically. There's all the stuff that really good entrepreneurs, really good leaders, really good managers, all that sort of good stuff have got, need, want, doesn't matter. Doesn't move. Pick a direction and move. It's okay to adjust as you're going, right? I heard the most beautiful language, and I like big words, right? I really do. I love them. I love the beauty of the way the language can be constructed, can be manipulated, and can be used to create effects, events, cater to emotion, define, derogate, can become granular, doesn't matter. Business is iterative. It is not process driven, which means it is as you're going through it. It means every iteration is different every day. Every instance, every meeting, every moment, every conversation is different than it was the previous, and will be different the next time. Business is iterative. Because of that, just move. Pick a direction. If you find yourself sitting and waiting, it's too late. Start to move. Has to be, must be. That's the only way we survived. The beginning of the pandemic, every day I woke up going, I don't know if I'm going to get paid. I don't know if somebody else is going to be around. I don't know if this person is going to show up. I don't know what's going to be in this meeting. I walked around every day, the first 3 weeks of the pandemic, not being scared, but just going, okay, so what do I do next? And as soon as that's done, what do I do next? And as soon as that's done, what do I do next? And I just kept picking the next activity. And every time I was helping somebody else, I'm like, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? And it became this repetitive process, and it was exhausting because I was thinking for other people. But it was merely a matter of, what do you do next? Move. Pick something. How do I know if it's the right thing? None of it's right. But the worst thing you can do is sit. So do something. Call a person, email a person, talk to somebody, build a relationship, foster a relationship, nurture a relationship, fix a relationship. Doesn't matter what it is. Do something, just move.
Can I add to that?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, no, Yulia, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I just want to say a move that's probably the same that I would want to just add. Be flexible, because, situation changes every day. So we cannot predict what's going to happen tomorrow. So just be open-minded and be ready, I guess, to change to whatever is coming. So, and on another note, what Matt just said about being scared. Yeah, fear, I think, eats us all. So whatever insecurities we have, we just probably have to try to overcome that. It's not easy, just said that, but, just to work on your those insecurities that you have more, and eventually, yeah, you might overcome one. Just set yourself a goal for this year. Okay, I want to do this to get rid of whatever I'm not happy with, right? Like whatever skills you might missing or want to acquire. So that's one of the things. And yeah, that's something I just want to say.
I was going to say my addition would be, if you're going to move honestly. It's interesting because obviously a little bit different than the business coach world, but in the financial world, I have people that like I'll congratulate every day when they show up at my office across from me at my desk or Zoom call as it were now. You've made the step to move. You've come to get out of the mode of being scared, but then it's the conflict of shit. Now I have to be honest, right? Like, so like, for example, somebody will come in and they'll tell me a portion of the story. And by the time we're 6 weeks into the deep dive into what's going on in their financial situation, I'm like, okay, I've got 47 questions for you, because what you came in here telling me about is not really the heart of the problem. You know, it's wonderful and great that you made the move to get out of the freeze and you came to act vulnerable and stuff like that. But then when you don't tell the whole story, I actually can't help you to the fullest of my capabilities, because I don't actually know what's all going on. But your money and your finances will tell me. The transactions in your bank account will tell me whether what you're telling me is consistent, or at least open the door to questions. And I mean, I'm grateful that 99% of the time, thanks to a lot of the skills that I've learned from this room, if I'm probing for more questions, I'm probing with more questions, I'm looking for more information, people will start to, like you said, people will start to figure out how much you care. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to hold it over your head. I'm actually doing it because I literally need to know. I need to know so that I can utilize the tools in my tool belt to be able to help you, which is what you came here to ask me to do. So if you're going to move, if you're going to get, you know, if you're going to face your being scared, if you're going to leave the freeze zone, if you are going to do it, move with purpose and move with honesty. Move with the ability to understand that if you are making the huge monumental step to even just begin the process of talking to somebody about what's going on, give them like, and maybe it sounds bad if I say this, but give them the respect of understanding that if you're going to lay the dirty laundry on the table, that having all of the pieces really does make the situation a lot easier. In my case, sometimes it costs you a lot less money, but it's a quicker route to the remedy for whatever you've got going on.
Mm-hmm. Shannon, you're on mute.
Sorry, the stupid bar keeps coming up and blocking all of my buttons along the bottom here. So it's a pain in the butt. Anyway, I was just going to say, I think it's kind of a little in conjunction with what Danielle just said, but move, definitely move, but have a foundation, a focus, a vision to what you want that move to have accomplished for you, so that you can have some sort of, you know, even percentile idea that you're going to be moving in the right direction. You know, you don't want to be afraid anymore, but that means that you have a goal. Like if it's a new place that you want to be living in 6 months, if it's, I don't even care if it's just like a car that you want to buy or whatever, what is going to move you in that direction, move in that direction. Have some idea, some frame of reference as to why you're moving and what you're moving toward. And, but definitely get up and move and put all the cards on the table, be honest with yourself, be honest with the people around you, and just have that focus, that vision in your head. And I think once you know exactly what it is that you really want to move toward and you make it real for yourself, it's a lot easier to get up and start moving toward it, especially like if you do know all of your factors and have all of that, like I said, laid out on the table in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Don?
Yeah, it's amazing how we're all kind of agreeing about it's about motion and going forward and having a plan and a direction. And, you know, in the coaching and mentoring world, you know, that seems to be the key thing that we need to do and help others with, is get them to take some action and move forward and keep them accountable. If I had to sum up coaching in many cases, it's accountability, coach. I'm just making sure they stick to the plan that they figured out, you know, that they do something to move forward. And Simon Sinek, I believe he had a neat YouTube where he talked about when you're kind of stuck, you take one step and it's say to stage one. And when you're at another stage, you have a different perspective of things. And then you go to another one and you see it from a different angle. And so moving forward brings on new ideas and stuff. And so it was always positive, like get forward, try a new thing, try a new piece of marketing, try a new product line, try some new thoughts or whatever, because your perspective will change and you'll see some new things you didn't see when you were way back there.
I got to jump in with Don here for a moment. That is well put, really, really well put. And I love that because we have been talking about motion. We're agreeing about it, but it's about that change of perspective. I was going to ask the group, who here is tired right now, right? We're tired of COVID, we're tired of a number of other things, but I've had some conversations with clients this week, and we're in the second week the second month of the new year, right? The first week of the second month, but the second month of the new year. And, you know, a number of conversations very similar this week. It's been probably 2 weeks in a row where I show up and they're kind of like, listen, you know, I'm not done everything. You know, I'm not quote unquote done my homework yet. What's going on? And they're like, so what do I got to focus on? Because now they want to punish themselves a little bit. And it's like, just do this. It's one thing. And they're like, that's it? That's all you're asking me to do? You know, you give me a list, it's more. Well, you got that other list and it's not done yet. You got to catch up. That's right. Just do this one thing. Why? To Don's point, that shift in perspective that's going to happen. It's one tiny thing. And you're going to do it. You're going to accomplish it, right? I've had a new client. He is literally brand new. He's just in his third week. We've had our third coaching session. And I'm like, just do this. He goes, that's not a lot. That's really little. And I said, no, it's really important to just get this one thing done. And I said, by the way, you had something that is a milestone last week. You got this accomplished, finish it off. Did you celebrate? Did you recognize it? Celebrate, right? Did you actually physically get a move? He goes, no, I didn't. I'm like, well, you got to do that too, right? So there's these little tiny steps, but that shift is massive for perspective. You walk one. Here's a great coaching exercise for everybody else that has nothing to do with business. The next time and we're so used to it, we're programmed, you walk up and down the same stairs. If you got stairs and you live in a house, multi-floor, the next time you walk up the stairs, stop one stair up or two stairs up and turn around on the tread. Be careful not to fall down, but turn around on the tread. You're so used to not doing it, you got to think about it. But when you turn around and look around your house, it's a very different view than what you're used to. And why? When we're walking down the stairs, like I get this view every time I walk down the stairs. No, it isn't. You walk down the stairs the same way. Walk up one stair and turn around and look at your house. It looks different. Walk up two stairs and look around your house. It looks different. Walk up three stairs and look around your house. It looks different. All right. When you're walking down the stairs next time, turn around and look across the floor. Just that shifted perspective. It's 3 feet of difference in height. You're like, I walk that floor all the time, but turn around and look straight over the lip of the stairs and look across. You're like, that's very different. Right. But that's the perspective of a child, etc. So yeah, exactly. Or a cat. But changing that perception could change just the way you think about your house, think about your home, think about your family, etc. Right? These are all wonderful things. And Dawn, thanks for bringing that one up, because a shifted perspective is, you know, back to my point about motion, and everybody else has agreed on it here. Just moving a little bit changes it, right? Walking out the front step and walking down to the front sidewalk for a moment, taking a deep breath is really good to do. In fact, I did that last night real quick. The wife and I ordered food late. Why? It seemed like we needed food late. And so it was coming to the door like normal, and I'm standing outside in a t-shirt in, you know, -15 or -20 weather, getting my breathing exercise in, and the lady jumps out of the car and bring up orders. She's like, aren't you cold? I'm like, no, this feels really good. Because I hadn't been outside all day. So just that little act, put on my shoes, walked outside, and the crisp air and the nighttime, and it was quiet, and, you know, there was fresh snow on the ground, shifted everything to it. It just made me feel better.
I can so relate what you just said. Yeah. With one of your clients, just do one task, right? Like, yeah, it seems so little, and you're like, well, I will be done in an hour, for example. But I'm the same way. Like, I'm just like overbook myself with so many like things on my list, right? Like, and obviously they're so important. Now I just trying to do like 3, 4, the most important ones. And obviously things come in still like during the day, week, right? So, and as long as I accomplish those, I'm happy. And today, actually, someone asked on Facebook, what's your biggest accomplishments like for this week? And I said, well, I completed my to-do list for this week. So that's my biggest accomplishments, which happens like 90% on normal weeks. But today I'm like, I'm done. I feel good.
Oh yeah.
It's funny that you say that because I was reading a thing on Facebook and it said, I'm the type of person that will have a to-do list and then I'll complete something that's not on my list and I'll add it to the bottom of my to-do list and then scratch it out.
Pretty
And
much, yes.
some people think that's really taboo. They're like, don't do that. And I'm like, but my brain has like, it figured out that there was something important I needed to do. And maybe it wasn't on that original list. I'm still going to give myself the accomplishment of putting it on the list and scratching it out. Why? Because I need to see that. At the end of the day, I can go look, like whatever barriers kept me from completing the other things, I did still get some things done. You know, maybe they weren't exactly what I set out to be, but if they've moved me forward, if they've, you know, put me closer to where I need to be, they still deserve to go on the list and be crossed out because they're still an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes to mind. I mean, Scott, when you're saying you were bringing your friends around and you wanted them to be excited and to show them the opportunity and the possibilities in their own lives, you know, that's, we can lead a person to knowledge, but we can't make them think.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know, in business, what we're doing all of the time is sometimes we get chicken shit. We got to make chicken salad out of it. So what can we do with our failures, with our things that aren't working? What can be done or what can be learned from that? And then with the motivation and moving into action, it's Art Williams. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. You know, and whatever it takes to move you forward. Art is great. And that's from Greg Weir, Mr. Greg Weir. He listens to that all the time. I think I believe every morning. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. You know, so those are the little pearls of wisdom, right? From people who have been there, done that, going through it, that we all continuously keep learning. And like Don said, changing our perspective by just moving a little bit. Love it.
Mm-hmm. All right. What are we closing out with today?
Feel goods. This was such a feel good session.
Feel goods? Don, we go with feel goods? What we got?
Yeah, feel good. What are you feeling good about right now? What's coming up shortly?
That's great.
Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day?
Ew, I have a lot of feel goods, but nothing to do with Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Okay, the 15th, when everything's half off.
Roses and half off.
Yeah, the chocolate sales after Valentine's Day, that's something to talk about.
Okay.
Feel good discounted chocolate always wins.
Yeah, we can deal with that. So feel goods for this week. Okay, so thanks to Mitch and his coaching and that over the last year, I have quadrupled my business, and as such, I can now afford to move into a much nicer place than what I am right now. So I am moving from the inner city. And I mean, like literally the neighborhood I'm in right now is called the Jungle. That's what the people on the street call this area. And I'm actually moving into a luxury apartment just off of High Street at the end of the month. So I'm super happy about that. Had an amazing conversation with Jackson, another member of Syndicate. The conversation, if everything works out, is very much going to move us toward the direction of meeting our goals to be able to start franchising Mad Women by June, or at least getting into process by this June. So very promising contracts over there. That's amazing. We've launched Mad Women. So we now have an official virtual assistant site, and I am meeting my goals to studying for my Canadian securities so that I can start offering my services in the financial markets and capital markets on a bigger scale than just with Peterson Capital. Not that there's anything wrong with working with Peterson Capital. So, so yeah, great. It's 2022 is going to be a fantastic year. So that's my feel goods.
Love it.
We're so Canadian. We're so shy. Feeling good. I woke up. I took a breath of fresh air, and I'm still here. It's Friday. I'm spending an hour with all of you fine folks. I feel like I'm like Leonardo DiCaprio at the dinner table right now. I'm like thanking everybody in Titanic. Anyway, we've had some great success. And honestly, for me, I think it's kind of the synergy of the three MCC coaches right now like we have the same type of mindset. We've been working together so closely that the fact that we put on the same t-shirt, I think speaks to how we're all kind of coming together, right? So I thank you very much, and I celebrate that too.
Yeah, I'd like to celebrate. I had just some good production this week. I produced some deliverables for clients that I felt was good, a contract, a great job description, or even telling the client, did you look at that job description? I mean, I'm really proud of that. It's like, this is going to get you a sales manager. You're going to go places. It's like, oh yeah, I'll better look at it.
Yeah, for me, it's actually the time that I can spend with my family. So whatever time I get free out of my business, that brings me joy, and things I would like to do, like some outdoor stuff, like going for either walk or skating, for example. So anything that doesn't require work is happy place for me. So, and on the business side is, just establishing some business partnerships with other experience providers. So that's something also going pretty well. So I'm hoping, we can bring some more exciting experiences on our website and in our store. So,
Paul?
Making my bed, starting the day off with success, right? First and foremost. And then setting the intention for the morning. Having a cluster of different videos that I watch. I don't go to media right away. I don't go to the news. Setting the tone for the day. But also the biggest thing is pattern interrupt. And what I've been using is when my anxiety comes up, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm getting pulled in all directions, I'll stop. And for 10 seconds or a minute, I'll take my thumb and my finger and I'll feel the ridges on my thumb and my finger and focus on it. And if my mind wanders off, I bring it back. And I focus just on this. And what this is doing is it's pattern interrupting my brain, because my brain has been taught to go this way. Maybe it's more of a negative pattern that I've created. And by just doing that, it actually ends up breaking that and creating more of that positive side. It's such a subtle difference, but from doing it and practicing that, it's made a big difference in interrupting that old flow and releasing or relieving that anxiety on that side. So that's what I'm grateful for.
And since I won't be ticking the box that says that this is open for public advertising, so YouTube can't throttle us today, I'm grateful for this.
Much the soundtrack to the week.
It's been the soundtrack of the week. I've been playing it for damn near every one of my coaching meetings I'd remember to get played on. And Wednesday and Thursday, I played it for pretty much everybody, right? Why? Should be. What else are we going to do with our time? What else are we going to do with this, right? It feels really good. I got shit that I can be proud of. I got shit that I'm stressed out about. My diet's going great. My wife and I blew that out the water last night, right? Entirely. You have to get 10:30 at night A&W. You got to do that. But you know what? I still plugged all that food in dutifully into my diet app. And you know what? Still 200 calories under what I was allowed to take in yesterday. So even after blowing that out the water, I happened. But you know what? That song is something to feel good about. Why? I played it for a whole bunch of people, made them happier. I wasn't stressed out when I was burnt last night. I get to points in weeks like this where I cannot form words. I can't type. Like today, I'm having trouble typing the right letters in the right order to make real words happen. I know that's a sign of mental fatigue. It's exhaustion. I have trouble putting all the words together in place. But you know what? Last night we sat there and we munched down on A&W and ate onion rings. And all I got is this song in my head constantly. And I was happy. It was good. It's a good way to go into the week. I got 2 more meetings to rock it out. Guess what I got to do? Begin each one of those meetings playing this goddamn song. Why? Pimple's badass. Love it. And then I'm going to go to the weekend with a clean conscience. I worked really hard. I spend time with people that I love to be around. And you know what? Good things are happening this week. And I always got that song. It's It's badass. Love doing it. All right, we're there. It is 1:01 p.m. We had more of a feel-good session. You know what? You know what's weird to notice, and I'm going to bring this up right now. So anybody that's watching in the future and gets to this part of this episode or skips forward to the very end, shame on you. Every time we have an episode like this, our attendance drops off and bottoms out entirely. I'm like, you don't want to feel better about yourself for a moment? You don't want advice for people to literally be like, I don't have time for this horse shit. Tell me how to sell more. You miserable pricks. Get off your high horse and come and enjoy what we've just done today. There's a bunch of us on this call going, here's how we're getting through the week. Here's what we're going through. Here's the stuff that makes us feel better. Here's the stuff you got to do. Why? All the time. It can't be this. You do in sales and you do in marketing. Here's the bad crap that's going on. We're going to a ground war in Europe into Ukraine at some point. That's probably happening. That's fucking terrible, right? We got a pandemic that is the song that never ends, right? Inflation has made milk and eggs 30% more expensive in 40 days. That's not done. If you've been to the grocery store, at least in my hood, in the last 24 hours, you're like, there's a lot less stuff than there used to be before. Why? Everybody in a truck is somewhere else in the country protesting. Seriously, you can find lots of reasons to be miserable with what's going on today. I got a roof over my head. I'm hanging out with really cool people. Friday afternoon, it's 1:02 p.m. I'm keeping it all right. You guys like, let's see what Mitch has to say, right? Life is good. The sun came up. The sky's still full. We've got food in our bellies. Hey, I got two other insane assholes that are wearing the exact same shirt as I am. Not a cult, right? It's great. Love it. But we're all here hanging out. We're talking about business. We're going to finish off with a day like today. Stuff that just makes us feel good. Stuff that made us happy. Because after all, if you can't be happy making money, get the hell out of the business you're in right now. Do it. Ditch it. Go on to something else. Because there are more things in this world that can make you happy, you get paid at doing, than the ones that are going to make you miserable. There's my last lesson for the day. So, hey, Don, as always, my brother, I heart you. Thank you so much. Shannon, I see you all the time. It's fantastic. Great. Yulia, we've talked multiple times this week. I'm loving it, right? I heart you as well. Daddy and Scott, fuck off. I see you every day. Love you guys, right? Right? Same thing there. And these two yahoos on my screen, they're here on this side and this side, Matt and Paul. I could not do this without you. I appreciate you. I am Mitch Camage. I am the Savage in Business. This is the MCC Virtual Business Box Lunch, February 4th of 2022. In the can, in the bag, done and out. We will be back next Friday for our next Virtual Business Box Lunch, where we will solve all the world's problems, or at least one, when it comes to business and you and how you can get through the week and the day. It is a pleasure to have you here, as always. From everybody that's here, everybody that's been, and everybody that will be, thank you for joining us. We will see you next time as we continue to plow through season 2 of the Virtual